Do I think that that they should make a move off of Garoppolo? Yeah, I think they should. I think if they definitely, he's just not worth the money that they're paying him. He's a good quarterback. I don't think you're not going to make the move though from Garoppolo to Darnold. That doesn't work. Doesn't work for
No.
me at all. My thought on the whole thing there is I think Darnold might be able to come in and play better than what we saw of him with the Jets. My thing with him is if you make that move, you're making the same mistake that you made in 2017 because you're making a trade because you're trading. You're going to trade probably, at probably the lowest you can go is probably your third round pick for him. So let's say they have to trade their second round pick for him. If they trade their second round pick for him, they're getting him on a 1-year deal.
Right.
Let's say he comes in, he plays really well.
Shows something. Your fans like him, you're sell some jerseys.
Yep. And what's going to happen is his contract's going to be up and you're going to be looking at paying Sam Darnold $20 to $24 million. So I don't really like that move. I think I don't want to see them do that. I'd rather see them go a veteran route for cheap. If they're going to move on from Garoppolo, get a veteran. There's a couple of them that are out there, go that route and take a quarterback with that they can groom that can maybe play later in the year or next year.
Yeah. I mean, I think what I'm seeing here is Sam Darnold. He does have some physical gifts, no question. That's why he was the number 3 pick in the draft. He moves well. He's got a strong arm. He needs a lot of development, Jack.
I agree. I think there's still a lot of ways that a lot of growth that he needs in his game.
Oh, he needs a ton of growth. And to replace Jimmy Garoppolo with a guy who executes worse than him, who needs more development than him, I don't think so. I think that the better move is to just bring in one of these veteran who's a backup, but really is probably pretty good enough to be a starter, but just doesn't have the hype around him anymore. Like Ryan Fitzpatrick, Andy Dalton, Marcus Mariota. There's a ton of these like super backups around the league who need no development and would definitely benefit from the Kyle Shanahan system and all these playmakers the way that Jimmy Garoppolo has, and might even actually execute better than him.
Yeah, I agree. The thing here is Shanahan and Lynch have a tendency to want to play it safe at the quarterback position. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, you have Jed York, I think, who's really more instrumental in this position than anybody wants to say. The quarterback's your face of the franchise. So Garoppolo's become that guy for the 49ers. If you get rid of Garoppolo and you can bring in somebody like the two guys, like Fitzpatrick, for example, or Dalton, all of a sudden that's a step down in a lot of people's mind, and you're going to get a lot of blowback from that. You're going to get a lot.
Well, you're not going to get the primetime games.
Yeah,
that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, you're going to get that, and you're going to get a lot of your fan base is going to turn on you a little bit.
Yep.
Even if it is the right choice to go, and I think that plays into this decision as well. And I mentioned it a while back on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
John Lynch kind of mentioned that in the end of your press conference. He mentioned about that he made something to the fact that there's more people than just him and Kyle that are making the decision on the quarterback, as far as from the overall organization making that decision. And you got to
the football people could understand that it's actually a good move to go from Jimmy and his salary to Fitzpatrick and his salary, or Dalton and his salary. But a guy like, the owner who's profiting off of Jimmy Garoppolo, marketing him, his bobbleheads, his jerseys, could say, whoa, no, absolutely not. I'm open to moving on from Jimmy Garoppolo, but only for someone who's an upgrade, whatever that means in Jed York's mind.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of where they're kind of stuck a little bit right now. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out over the next couple of months.
I mean, I haven't watched a lot of Andy Dalton recently, but he's been around forever. He's played a ton. He's got a lot of experience. I'm guessing if we turned on Andy Dalton and watched him with the Cowboys, Game Pass would make it tough, but I still think we would see a guy who executes pretty well. I mean, not a playmaker, not a really exciting quarterback, but a functional veteran that Kyle Shanahan could do something with.
Yeah, I think so. You watched him play against the 49ers, and we saw that up front where he was able to actually make some big plays with his legs. There was the one big throw down the right sideline where he had to move and got that ball down the field. And I think he's a guy that could operate Shanahan's system at a good enough level to keep the team afloat while they bring along a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, if all you feel like the team needs is good Jimmy, well, I think Andy Dalton's pretty close.
Yeah,
he's pretty close. I mean, he's not super exciting, but he's at least battle tested. He's been in a ton of games. And if you're comparing him to Kirk Cousins, that's another guy who's never accomplished anything when it matters. Andy Dalton has never accomplished anything when it matters. Neither has Kirk Cousins. This is a guy that is about the same age. Why not?
I think there's been a few years where Dalton, they were actually better than anything that Cousins is usually a 9-7, 8-8 quarterback. There was a couple of seasons there where Dalton, I think, had 10, 11 wins, maybe 12 with Cincinnati. They didn't do it in the playoffs, but they were winning games. I think he can operate at a high level.
I mean, everyone's looking for the cheap quarterback this year because there's a salary cap crunch, and that's the main place to save money. You can't spend all this money on quarterbacks unless he's a Hall of Famer. Mm-hmm. So I think you're seeing like a lot of these rookie quarterbacks are going to go high. There could be 4 or 5 picked in the top 15. We're already hearing that Mac Jones could be the 8th pick in the draft. Wow. Maybe Trey Lance could go top 12. I mean, the Niners take Trey. It's that kind of year. But if you're taking rookies because they're cheap, well, they also still need to be developed. Just because you have a rookie in 2021 doesn't mean you're going to win. You might have a better chance to win with a cheap veteran who can actually play right away. He may not be great, but at least he's cheap, and you can build the rest of your team.
Yeah, that really makes a lot of sense that you could do that, because if you got a bunch of rookies, you got an influx of rookies, guys that aren't really ready to play, that those teams are going to be, worse off. You're also going to have teams that are already having to strip so much salary that they're going to be a little weaker anyway. So, if you have that guy that can hang in there and kind of keep you afloat, I think, you'd be able to probably pull off some wins that you wouldn't otherwise.
Yeah, and if you were to get Ryan Fitzpatrick or Andy Dalton, it's possible that their contract would cost you yearly about as much as the 12th pick in the draft would. There's not much different. Maybe
it probably wouldn't be that. You're looking at the. I think there was who was it? Joe Burrow. He's going to be $8 million next year.
Right.
A little over, in his second year of his deal. So if you can get Dalton or Fitzpatrick for $6 or $7 million, you're right about the same ballpark as a rookie.
Yeah, to me, that's what I would do. I know Niner fans aren't really that excited to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo for Dalton. Jimmy's not that good. I'm telling you, I know it's hard to hear, but Jimmy's not that good. Andy Dalton, if you put him on this team with these playmakers, would be fine. He'd be just as good of a caretaker of the offense as Jimmy, if not better, because he's more experienced, in my opinion, and he stays on the field. And then, as we mentioned, there's rookies that you could get in day 2 that could execute a lot of the stuff Jimmy Garoppolo does.
Yes. Yeah. Especially those guys in day 2, the Trasks and the Mons, they can do this. Even the Davis Mills kid out of Stanford is a guy that has a higher ceiling than I think a lot of people realize.
That's right.
That's one that I finally got.
I like Davis Mills. Even Jamie Newman, if you took him on day 3, sat him for a year. He might be able to do some of this stuff in this offense too. I haven't watched a ton of him, but he's very athletic. Any other thoughts you have on Darnold and Garoppolo before we go? No on Darnold. We agree. No on Darnold.
Yeah, for me it's a no on Darnold for the reasons that I said. I don't want to give up a draft pick for him and then have to pay him next year.
Yeah, you already have a project on your team. His name is Josh Rosen. You may not even be able to salvage 1, let alone 2. Focus on 1. Bring in a vet who's durable and established. Bring in a rookie and roll the balls out and see who wins. I love that strategy. Can Niner fans all write a letter to Jed York and say, it's okay. It's okay if you get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. We won't riot. Be bold. We support you. If you guys all do that, it might happen. But until that happens, Jed York's going to put his foot down, I think.
I think you're right. Maybe we need to fly a banner over Levi's. Maybe that's
banner time. Who's organizing the GoFundMe? Zach, thanks a lot, man. This was great.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.